They say you should never give more to a job than it would ever give back to you. I used to believe that was just something bitter people said after they failed. Now I know it's the truth. I gave everything to that company. My time, my loyalty, my health. And in return, they threw me out like I was trash. But what they didn't expect was that I would rise again, stronger, smarter, and that one day, they'd come crawling back to me begging. Not just once, but 3 separate times. And each time, I would smile and say the same thing. Thanks, but no thanks. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where it all started. Chapter 1. The Foundation in the early 2000s. I worked for a small, specialized PCB design and manufacturing company. We weren't flashy, we weren't glamorous, but we were good at what we did. Damn good. Every single board we designed, every part we fabricated, it was precision work. I took pride in every project I touched. We had one major client and industry giant I'll call big customer. You've almost certainly used their products. They trusted us for their most sensitive, high-performance hardware, and over 80% of our output went directly to them. Without exaggeration, they kept our doors open, and I was the one keeping them. Happy, I was the bridge. Every week, I sent performance metrics, error reports, engineering change notices. Every month, I compiled trend analyses, field failure summaries, root cause corrections. Not exciting work, but critical. I became the invisible gear that kept the whole machine running smoothly. But success has a cost. The hours piled up. The pressure never eased. I stopped sleeping properly. Started skipping meals. Missed family dinners. My weekends became extensions of the work week. At first, I told myself it was temporary, that the payoff would come. But deep down, I knew. I was bleeding out for a company that was never going to return the favor. Still, I kept grinding, because I believed in what we were building, because I believed in my team, because I believed that hard work meant something. Then came the acquisition. Chapter 2. The Corporate Cleanse. Tech startup bought us out. I wasn't naive, I knew what that meant. They weren't looking to nurture our culture or honor our work. They were after our intellectual property, our systems, our clients, and us. We were just part of the package. They sent in a general manager to streamline operations. Let's call him Mark. Mark was the kind of guy who wore expensive suits, used words like synergy, and looked at spreadsheets more than people. He wasn't from our world. He didn't understand manufacturing, didn't understand electronics. But that didn't stop him from tearing everything apart. We all knew the plan, even if it was never said aloud. He wanted to shut down production, license out designs, rid of hands and workers, turn our skilled shop into a lean digital portfolio, which meant people like me were dead weight. The real kicker came when big customer introduced a new supplier contract. Standard stuff, except this time. They were formalizing all the reporting requirements that I had already been handling for years. My inbox lit up with messages about the changes, and I knew exactly what to do. But then I got summoned. Mark wanted me to write a document explaining why we couldn't meet the reporting requirements. I nearly laughed. Instead, I said calmly, we already do. Every requirement in that contract is something I've been sending them for over a year. He blinked like I spoke a foreign language. You've been doing this already? Yes, I said. You're copied on every report. He looked genuinely stunned. He had no idea what I did. He had never read a single one of my emails. Not one. And that's when I realized Die wasn't just invisible. It was already being erased. Chapter 3. The collapse, the stress, kept building. Every week felt heavier than the last. I'd walk through the office like a ghost. No one knew what to say to me anymore. I was the guy who still kept the ship running while the captain plotted a new course straight into the iceberg, then one. Sunday, I collapsed. I was at home, alone. I blacked out in the hallway and came to on the cold floor. Disoriented and trembling. Turns out I had a serious internal infection. My body had been begging for relief, and I ignored every warning sign. I spent a week in the hospital. Tubes in my arm. Machines monitoring my heart rate. Alone with my thoughts, I remember staring at the ceiling on my third night and wondering, was this all worth it? No one from work visited, no flowers, no texts, just silence. The following Monday, I returned to work still weak, still pale, still recovering. By 10 a.m., I was laid off. Just like that, no apology, no compassion, just a stack of papers and a rehearsed speech about restructuring. I didn't cry, I didn't argue. I just smiled, asked for 24 hours to review the terms, stood up, and walked out. That's when the real story began. Chapter 4, The Rise. This is 2009. The Great Recession had just begun. Jobs were vanishing. Layoffs were spreading like wildfire. I should have been terrified, and I was, but I didn't let it show. I filed for unemployment, started calling old contacts, updating my resume. I took a long walk every morning to clear my mind. I read books I hadn't touched in years. And slowly something shifted. I started breathing again. After 4 weeks of rejection and near silence, I got an interview. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't what I was used to. The work was honest. The people were kind. And the paycheck, though smaller, was steady. I took it. That job saved me. Not because it paid well, but because it reminded me who I was. Chapter 5. The begging. A few weeks into my new job, my old phone rang. It was my former boss. The same one who cried when I was laid off. He sounded lost. "Hey, I need your help. I've been trying to figure out how you manage those reports for big customer. We're behind, and they're not happy." I answered his questions, gave him what he needed, but nothing extra. He didn't understand the systems I'd built, the automation, the templates, the relationships. He just knew I had made it work, and now everything was falling apart without me. A week later, he called. "Again, they want to bring you back. Same job, same pay." I smiled. "Thanks, but no thanks." 3 days later, the GM called. "Mark." His voice had changed. He sounded nervous, polite. "We'd like to offer you your position again." "No thanks," I said. "If you refuse, we'll notify the unemployment office. You'll lose your benefits." I laughed quietly. "I don't need them. I already have a job." Click. Still, he kept trying. My former boss called a third time. This time the offer was everything. Full rehire, backdated service, stock options. Reinstated, paid time off, restored. It was tempting, but I remembered the hospital. I remembered being invisible. I remembered the coldness of that layoff room. "Thanks," I said one final time. But no thanks. He asked me to sign a statement refusing the offer. I declined, and that was that. Chapter 7. The collapse. There's 1 week later, I heard that Mark the GM was gone. No goodbye, no explanation, just gone. A few weeks after that, the parent company sold our division to a more established supplier, company that already had contracts with big customer. They swept in and cleaned house. But they kept my coworkers. They kept my boss. The people who mattered were spared. Only the leadership. The ones who tried to erase me were wiped out. Poetic, isn't it? Chapter 7. The coldest revenge. I never shouted. Never burned bridges. Never plotted revenge. I simply moved on, and they came back. One by one, hoping I'd rescue them, hoping I'd forget what they did. But I remembered in that quiet no, that calm refusal of their desperation. It was louder than any act of vengeance could ever be. Because sometimes, it's the best revenge, isn't? Destruction, it's distance. It's living better, freer on your own terms. And when they come back begging, it's being able to smile and say, "You had your chance. You blew it. Thanks." But no thanks.